And we're back. Don't give me that. It's not that bad. It's not even close to being that bad.
What?
It is not even on the same level as, like, the worst movies we've ever watched.
Dearest, this is the worst movie you've maybe watched this year.
I've only ever made you watch one movie this year.
And coincidentally, it's the worst.
And there was nothing worth watching from 2007.
Duvacks!
So, I went into the Wayback Machine and grabbed one out of 1997.
We'll fix it in post.
1997 with a TNT classic, Con Air.
Ugh.
I honestly don't know what I have watched more on TNT, Shawshank, or this.
You know, it's hard for me to decide which one I would rather watch.
Oh, I love Shawshank, and we now own it because it is a movie that I would like to watch at any point. This, on the other hand, purely is a Sunday morning, Law and Order finished, it's gonna go right into Con Air, I'm not gonna turn off the television.
Again, I don't know which one of them I would rather watch.
Did you just like Shawshank that much?
You were there when we recorded it.
Yeah, I don't remember you having all that...
I think Shawshank is one of the most overrated films of the 20th century.
That's fine. But you think it's on the par with this real piece of
actually,
action?
Yes.
It makes me sad that John Cusack hates it so much he refuses to be interviewed about it.
That's his prerogative.
Oh, speaking of which...
We'll address that later.
When it beeps again?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got some things to discuss before we get to that.
It was real!
Oh my god. Honey.
This is like, I think, where the definition of it real comes from.
I think if this movie were made in 1987, it would have Patrick Swayze in it.
Then you would like it, and you wouldn't complain.
This is on par with Roadhouse.
You love Roadhouse.
I know.
But
this is so bad. It is a plane wreck.
I kept forgetting how bad it was. Like, I remember, I have watched this movie, or the majority of this movie.
The cable cut of this movie.
Hundreds of times.
Mm-hmm.
Because TNT.
Right.
And TNT, I don't know if they do it anymore because we don't have cable. But what,
Thank God.
You know, in the basketball off-season, because for some reason basketball's on TNT, still don't understand that, you know, they'd have their primetime movies, and then on Sundays and Saturdays, they would have 2 or 3 hours of Law and Order first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And then at noon Eastern, it would go into the movies that they played during the week is now being played during the day on the weekend. It's just how their format was.
Okay.
And so I would be, you know, taking my Sunday, you know, I'd wake up and then go back to bed and watch my Law and Order.
Uh-huh.
And then, you know, the awful TV cut movies would start.
Oh, yeah.
And so
awful is...
So I have watched a vast array of them, and most of them I cannot watch. For some stupid reason, I find this movie eternally watchable.
Okay.
Thanks for the
That is for me. That is for me. That is my treat for sitting through this.
It's not
An ounce and a half of single malt scotch is not too much to give someone for sitting through this movie.
It's because of Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage is what breaks this movie.
Nicolas Cage inherited the title from Patrick Swayze. So in 10 more years, I'll be like, guys, have you seen National Treasure? It is awful.
Oh, no.
I actually have seen National Treasure. It's awful.
Is Nick Cage in it?
Yeah.
Therefore, it's awful.
Mm-hmm.
I've made you watch Raising Arizona.
Yeah, we
like
did
in the first year.
Yeah, it was in season 1.
Yeah.
And that was a Coen Brothers movie.
Right. But it kind of feels like Nick Cage walked off the set of that and felt that character should be in this movie.
Yeah, I could see that.
And he spent a month in Alabama to practice the accent.
This is one of the worst accents in cinema history.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't have the data to back that up.
No.
But, like, it's that and Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins. Like, those are the two that come to mind, like, oh yeah, that was egregiously bad.
Mary Poppins, I can understand because it's based in England. There is no reason why this particular character had to be Southern.
Apparently it was in the script, and they felt like sticking to that.
Then you get an actor who can do it, or you cut it. I mean, hell, Kevin Costner stopped halfway through a fucking movie.
Wait, which one?
Robin Hood.
Oh, that's right. No, that was just bouncing around all over the place.
But he quit.
Okay, you can't just...
Apparently
they didn't feel like going back to ADR. That I have not seen that movie.
It's on my list, but I don't think I've seen the whole thing.
Okay.
Mostly because I think it's too painful to watch because of the accent thing. Accent.
It was accent day? Nope, not yet.
It was accent day. Then it wasn't accent day. And then it was accent day.
We're not going to touch the diabetes stuff just yet.
Oh my god, the beaties.
Nope. Next beep. Next beep. So
the next beep, we'll talk about
we'll
the
just
beaties.
drop it and go straight to the beatus. So yeah, the accent was bad.
There are so many actors in this movie
Uh-huh.
who I genuinely enjoy.
Yeah. And there are a few actors in this movie who are genuinely entertaining. Not enjoyable. Speaking of Nicolas Cage.
Ugh. Yes. I really, and maybe it's the serial killer fanatic in me, I really enjoy Stephen Buscemi's character.
Yeah.
And how he chose not to kill the little girl. Nope. Not gonna do it. Not today.
Yeah. Well, that might have been some studio saying you are not killing a child in this movie. We don't care that it's rated R. You're not killing a child.
I loved the implications.
Mm-hmm. Can we allude? Like, as long as you show her alive later.
Right. I liked the way they did that.
Mm-hmm.
And it very much was Stephen Buscemi's character, like, obviously engrossed in this child and, you know, making decisions.
Yeah.
I really like what they did with that.
I felt like most of the characters in this movie were just totally underdeveloped.
Yes. You're a psychopath.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things in the trivia...
It's like, oh, you're fabulous. And you like to wear dress. Like, hey, why are they on this plane? Speaking of, is it Renaud?
Yeah.
Something? It was Le Freak from Hackers.
Yes.
I still like that movie. Don't even care.
Yeah, I know. Well, one of the things that Malkovich said he hated about doing this movie is that they were literally writing it as they went.
Oh.
So he never knew what his character was going to do that day or what it was about.
See, I felt like his character and Cage's character
were the most developed.
They pretty well developed because they have the most screen time. It's like Pinball was all right. I mean, they kind of established him just quick. Like here's your shit.
Yeah.
Like okay, whatever.
His job was to get the transponder on the other thing. His stuff was done.
Yeah.
Out the airlock you go.
Yeah. And Ving Rhames, I thought was... Because they mentioned a little bit.
Yeah.
And the difficult part of this criticism is that you could go the other way and just give us, like, 5 minutes a person for everyone on the plane and call that, Like, that's not even the first act. That's just,
right.
Here are all of our characters. Cough, cough, fucking Suicide Squad. Don't watch that movie. It's awful.
I liked the way they had the guard kind of introduce them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, we have a hard copy and a 2020, and we have a genuine Geraldo interview.
Yeah.
Which means a lot more in 1997 than it does now, because I think hard copy's off the air and Geraldo doesn't have his own show anymore. So, times they are a-changing.
Yeah. Well, and you joked when they were at the airfield, like, oh, look how cheap gas was. Like, yeah, that's because it took place in the past.
$1.08.
Whatever.
For in the middle of BFE.
Yeah.
So.
It was East Jesus nowhere.
Yeah. So yes, I'm sorry. I miss low gas prices. I can't help it. Because in my day, whatever.
Yeah, well, you know what? Our kids will say the same shit in 20 years.
The cats aren't going to drive.
They're also... I don't know if anyone's going to make it to 20. The nephews will say shit like that.
True facts.
I remember when gas was just $2.20. Like, go fuck yourself, kid. I filled up for 97 cents once.
I spent a year doing that.
Shut up, I hate you. You're also like a decade older than me.
I was just saying, yeah, and you were 6.
Whatever. What? It hasn't beeped yet. Jesus.
Just get to it. It'll beep in the middle of your conversation.
Okay.
It's real!
So, what they tried to do...
Squeak!
And failed... No, this isn't nerd shit. This is...
It will be a nerd shit.
This is real fucking life.
Oh, okay.
So, what they tried to do was introduce a character with a... There it is. A medical condition. The diabetes.
That would be the diabetes alarm going off.
Yeah. Who, like, whines when they're getting on the bus, like, hey man, where's my shot?
I didn't get my shot last night.
Like, what? Whoa! He didn't get his shot last night? Okay, guys. Insulin is a thing that many people, let's call them pancreatic Americans.
No.
Yes, we'll call them pancreatic Americans because
their pancreas doesn't work.
I'm establishing the pancreas does work.
Oh, those pancreatic Americans.
Yes, pancreatic Americans have a gland that produces an enzyme that breaks down sugar in the blood.
Okay.
If you don't have that enzyme, sugar builds up in the blood, thickening it, which is not that pleasant, turns out.
Doesn't sound fun.
Yeah, it apparently is...
Apparently.
Anyway.
Yes.
Some people, let's call them diabetics, or non-pancreatic Americans, do not produce this enzyme naturally.
Huh.
So they need it needs to be distributed to them through needles.
Subcutaneously.
Yeah, it needs to be shot into them.
Yours is a cyborg part.
I have cyborg parts that pumps insulin into me at, a prescribed rate.
Yes.
If he hasn't gotten any insulin overnight and into the day, his blood sugar is climbing precipitously.
That means a lot.
Yes. Well, precipitously, it generally means falling, but then again, no one calls about a meteoric rise, because meteors don't rise. I'm sticking with that. That's where you can squeak.
Squeak! And?
So he goes into this fucking flop sweat, like he's about to die if he doesn't get his shot. Like, no, buddy. If your blood sugar is low, which is the symptoms you're currently experiencing and broadcasting...
No, not experiencing. Showing.
Yes. Your apparent symptoms say that your blood sugar is low, in which case insulin is the actual last thing that you need right now.
You need orange juice.
However, you need glucose, because that's real easy to break down. However, if you haven't had insulin in
18 hours?
Any insulin at all in 12 to 18 hours, you're going to be dehydrated for the amount of sugar that you are urinating out of you uncontrollably.
But he'll smell so sweet.
Guess what? I've been on both ends of that.
Don't do that.
It's not great.
Don't do it.
It's not a good time.
Don't do it.
You might have figured out that I'm a diabetic.
Beep, beep. I know, especially when it beep beeps at 3 a.m.
Shut up. So that's the diabetes stuff.
Hey, that's okay.
Oh my
I
God.
explained why 3-inch needles will go through your arm and not into your arm.
Well, what they finally find like
They found a
3cc
3cc
needle.
syringe with a fairly large bore needle on it, which is not... However, they were in desperate need of any needle, and they weren't going to say no.
Yeah.
And you never actually saw him draw out the insulin or see how much he gave himself, but he was better in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's recovery is not generally that quick either.
And I'm assuming that they weren't giving
It's
him...
not fucking magic.
Well, I also assume that they're not giving him a fast-acting insulin if it's something that he takes at night.
Mm-hmm. See, there's also, like, different kinds of insulin you
Right.
can get. Some of them are kind of a time-release thing, where it'll kind of have a nice, long bell curve.
Which,
So kind of think of a rolling hill.
yeah,
Versus, like, something you need to climb and then fall down.
right. And it just...
That's the mealtime shit.
Right. And so, yeah, he recovered. Bam!
Yeah. In a hot second, right before being shot.
You didn't see that coming?
Oh.
I did it! I tipped him off!
It's pretty clever! Bam! It's like, fuck you, fucking idiot.
Yo!
Oh.
I can't believe you don't like this movie.
I didn't say that I don't like this movie.
Oh, it's
I
just
said
hot garbage and you
I said
watch
it's
it.
hot garbage. Honey, this is an August dumpster.
This is a good movie to watch.
And not like Garbage Day dumpster. This is like 2 days before Garbage Day.
There's a lot of drinking in this movie.
Oh, yes, there is.
There are a lot of actors, like...
There's a lot of, like, surprise drinking.
Yes.
Like, oh, holy shit, it's General Hammond from Texas.
Yes. The general... I think his signature is right over there on that Stargate
Yeah, that's what I was pointing at.
picture that I have in my living room.
Yeah, I was pointing at that.
Yeah. Something...
They all saw it, right, guys?
Yep. The plot's a little thin, but that's okay. It's an action flick. Right?
The plot is thin. The plot either needed to not exist at all, or this needed to not be an action movie.
It'd just be a shoot 'em up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you tried to split the difference, and it just didn't work.
Yeah. Oh, and my biggest problem, frankly, is why Nick Cage was in jail to begin with. Because you are special forces, therefore you're a deadly weapon. Don't mind the fact that 3 guys jumped him and 1 pulled a knife on him, and it strictly was self-defense. And I'm pretty sure...
The knife disappeared.
Doesn't matter.
With the 2 guys.
Yeah.
And as far as witnesses for his defense, which he didn't have because he fucking pled guilty.
Well, yeah, that was Mr. Noble.
Yeah. Also,
I did a bad thing.
more importantly, the police would only hold on to him until the MPs showed up so he could have his military trial.
Because he was still in.
Unless he had retired from the military, but he had just graduated.
It looked like he just graduated from Ranger school.
Yeah. So...
Yeah. And here's a question. I'm pretty sure all jails have visitation.
Mm-hmm.
Why wasn't his daughter allowed to visit him so she at least knew him?
I got the impression that he did his time in California.
Which makes no sense, because he would have...
Federal. Well, it would have been in Leavenworth in Kansas.
Except for it wasn't a military trial.
That's true.
So
Leavenworth isn't a military prison.
But what... It wasn't a... He didn't... He wasn't federally convicted.
Right.
He was locally convicted.
Right.
So that would be like somebody from Minnesota being shipped off to Wyoming so they can pay for our inmates.
I feel like that is a discussion for, like, someone who's much more familiar with the military or prison industrial complex.
They don't have a tendency to ship people out of state for another state to pay for them.
You never... Well, it's private prisons. Maybe they do. I don't know. I literally don't know anything about how private prisons are run.
I am literally giving you a skeptic face.
Apparently.
I am really, really sorry, but you need to go on YouTube and look up the Apparently Kid.
No, you don't.
Because he's really funny.
You also need to look up Batman and Spider-Man.
No.
Baman, Piederman. They're best buds.
Yeah. So, budget was an estimated $75 million.
Jesus fuck!
Yep.
Well, I mean, they had a lot of names attached.
It grossed 101. So it made its money back.
Fuck you, Jerry Bruckheimer. I hate you.
I like Jerry Bruckheimer. Don't I? He does CSI.
You're not making a case for yourself here. That's not a good defense.
You know what the other thing I like about this movie was?
What's that?
The ending is where it ends where we were 2 weeks ago in Las Vegas.
Yeah, it did do that.
Because why not?
Because we were just in Vegas.
Yeah. Which I did not remember that part of the movie when I selected it.
It kind of like popped up in my head when we watched the trailer. Like, oh yeah, this does end in Vegas. I wonder if we're going to recognize anything.
Yes and no. I probably recognized more than you because I'd been there 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And before, 13 years ago, while some of that was still there.
Well, in 2003 was only 6 years after this movie, so yeah.
Yeah, but I'd been before that.
Oh, okay.
So. Yeah, I was in like 2002. 2001. I have been to Vegas more than once.
Okay. I wasn't doubting you.
No, I'm just pointing that out.
Okay. So,
Viva Las Vegas.
No.
Sorry.
No, you can only have one Elvis song, and you decided that your Elvis song was In the Ghetto.
In the Ghetto.
So, fucking Jerry Bruckheimer.
Okay.
I feel like if you see a movie that says, you know, this kind of looks like a Michael Bay movie, but it's not a Michael Bay movie, it's because Jerry Bruckheimer produced it.
Oh.
Bay didn't direct this one, but I think they both worked together on Bad Boys.
Bad Boys, Bad Boys. You like that movie.
Yeah, I like things that are awful. Like, just so as you know.
What?
Yeah, he
is not a pretty human being.
Yeah, wait till you see what he looks like.
Oh. Even he's just somebody picked the worst picture possible for his IMDb page. That is not pretty.
That's why he's a producer.
Yeah.
But, like, a lot of Bruckheimer's movies are, like, a whole lot of flash and...
He's the EP on Lucifer.
Oh, okay.
And I really like Lucifer.
Whatever.
That's a good show.
I mean, I enjoyed the comic book, but from what I understand, they're, like, two entirely different things.
Which is okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there were just a lot of touches, like, oh yeah, that's a Bruckheimer thing.
Yeah.
That's a Bruckheimer thing. Like, oh hey,
he was doing a lot of things all over the place.
This score feels mostly recycled from Top Gun, which was a Bruckheimer thing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was waiting for when they did the flyby.
Yeah, like, where's fucking Danger Zone?
Yep. Bad Boys, Bad Boys.
Yeah, I want to say he and Don Simpson.
He did Pearl Harbor and Black Hawk Down?
I guess. Oh yeah, well, Bay directed Pearl Harbor.
Ah. He's done a lot of shit.
Yeah. He's also produced some movies, too. Because
He started producing in 1972.
okay, so he's been doing this for a bit.
Yeah. He did The Ref.
Oh,
I love The Ref.
I know you do.
The Ref is the best Christmas movie ever. That's not true. I like Scrooged.
We have very different tastes in Christmas movies.
We have very different memories of Budapest.
God, I hate you. So, do you have... We have to go through the closing shit, don't we?
No.